So I received the notification last night at 11:15 of the changes that were being affected at Gibraltar frontier. Those are obviously contrary to the interim arrangements that we had agreed, and I moved immediately to ensure that Gibraltar was going to do as we had said we would have no alternative but to do, with a very heavy heart, to impose reciprocal arrangements at entry into Gibraltar. I gave time for Spain to be able to reevaluate their position. I said we would start at 7 o'clock in the morning. They didn't reevaluate their position. They continued, and so at 7 o'clock in the morning we imposed those reciprocal arrangements for people coming into Gibraltar. By 7:30 we were told that Spain was lifting its restriction. We lifted when they lifted. We were told again that at after 9 o'clock they were imposing the restriction again because they felt they needed a written countermanding of the instruction they had been given by what I understand is a rogue inspector of the Policía Nacional here. Both the Minister of the Interior and the Minister of the Exterior confirmed that the interim arrangements were still in place. I said we would give them some time to put their ducks in a row, and that we would otherwise reimpose reciprocal controls at midday today. That wasn't necessary. They have resiled from the position. A written instruction countermanding the rogue instruction has been received at the frontier, and there is no longer the stamping of the passports of those with red ID cards. We are back to the interim arrangements, but of course all of this could change once EES comes into effect on the 10th of November or such later date, or once again, if there is a rogue instruction, or for some reason Spain decides no longer to continue with interim arrangements, and we will be ready immediately to reciprocate.
You say could happen again. It was actually 24 hours to the minute. So we could expect perhaps that rogue instruction to say, okay, another 24 hours.
Well, look, we are very clear that the government of Spain, through its ministers, have given us assurances of what can happen until the negotiation ends, or indeed, if there is a different European requirement, that means that the interim measures must come to an end. If things change before then, we will change before then too. But look, I sincerely hope that this is the storm before the calm, and that we are about to be able to finalize those treaty arrangements which will obviate what we saw happening today. The sort of chaos that will be visited upon the weakest, working people, ordinary people coming to school in Gibraltar, going to Spain to see their families, to do the things that politicians should be facilitating, not getting in the way of. And it's with a very heavy heart that we will have to reciprocate if obstacles are put in the ways of Gibraltarians, and we have to put obstacles in the way of those non-British individuals, non-resident in Gibraltar, who are visiting Gibraltar either for work or for any other purpose.
Politically, I would imagine that today important because we did see that chaos almost immediately. This is something that the government has been warning that could happen if there isn't a deal. So politically, today we've seen a picture.
Not just the government of Gibraltar. I think the government of Spain is fully aware of that. The mayor of Linea has been vociferous in explaining in Spain what would happen, in particular in Linea, if controls have to be put in place, however quick they might be. That's why we're working so hard to try and have new arrangements which are bespoke to Gibraltar, which create a common immigration zone with Schengen, not part of Schengen, but a common immigration zone with Schengen, not part of the single market in goods, but also extending the element by contract of the single market in goods to Gibraltar. It's tough, it's technically very difficult, it can be done, and it obviates the sort of thing that we've seen today.
People having followed the news today will think the talks are in danger. But perhaps what we've seen this morning, you said the storm before the calm, perhaps it's the other way around. Sometimes we see this sort of posturing, people playing to the gallery, these sort of scenes before an agreement.
The government of Gibraltar is not playing to the gallery. The government of Gibraltar and the government of the United Kingdom, although I don't speak for them, but I can tell you from what I observe, are negotiating in goodwill. We put good faith proposals that don't cross Spanish red lines, that guarantee the security and integrity of the Schengen zone and the single market. The ball is in Spain's court to accept those proposals and get to the deal, or to make other proposals, which might be a derivation of our proposals, which, as long as they observe the red lines that we also have, they are sovereignty neutral and do the things they need to do, we may be prepared to accept. But I'm not posturing. This is not about wanting to take longer than we have to, but we have to get there, because if we don't get there, the trouble will be for all of us. Gibraltar will suffer. We are the ant in this equation. They are the giant in this equation, but we will hurt people on both sides. And our job as politicians must be to make the lives of people better, whilst preserving the things that are fundamental and that we hold dear and that we will never compromise.
Chief Minister, without the 10th of November deadline, does that mean that you won't be running as fast? The negotiators won't find themselves suddenly with a wall on the 10th of November?
There's no reason not to do a deal on the 30th of October if we can. We don't have to wait until the 10th of December. Look, I would advise that we don't do it on the 31st of October, because satirists would have a field day with a Halloween deal on Gibraltar. But look, I really hope that if we can get there before then, we get there before then. If we have to go beyond the 10th of November, we go beyond the 10th of November. We now have more leeway there. Spain will not have to impose controls of EES on the 10th of November anymore. I would hope that she would not choose to impose those controls on the 10th of November, having the choice of doing it later, and hopefully obviating that, because we can get to the arrangements that we are now so close to being able to get to. And look, after today, I hope it is at least understood in Spain why it is that the people of Gibraltar don't often see Spanish law enforcement officials, some of whom are superb, simpático, friendly, and some of whom, just before they go on holiday, leave a written instruction that is designed to screw up everybody's life. And that has to be understood in Spain. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we see.